Right in. Hello, my name is Bruce, and this is episode 27 of A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie. Tonight's movie discussion is going to originate around one of my favorite films that you probably should never let your kids watch.
No.
Tonight's movie is Midnight Meat Train, a movie based on a short story of the same title by Clive Barker. And
Mhm.
if you're familiar with this book, then you know what we're going to talk about. Janet, what did
What?
you what did you think of
Um,
Midnight Meat Train?
well, I don't want to give my overall, I wrote an overall review like I did for Tombstone, but I'll do that at the end when I give it its grade.
Okay. So the movie starts out with Bradley Cooper, who is a freelance photographer
Hmm.
inside of the city of New York. And before we start on this, I guess I should say hello to my chat. Guys, appreciate you
Oh,
being here. Shadow and Sun, hi Janet. And Six Nation 31 Kings, thank you for being here. Um, really appreciate you guys being here because this is a movie that it is a guilty pleasure, guilty as charged for Bruce. And hey, Bone, how you doing, sir? Good to see Bone up and
I
around.
haven't seen him in a while.
Last I heard, he's been doing better, and I'm
Good.
happy to hear that.
He lived. That's what I'm happy.
Yeah,
Very happy. He's still with us.
Bone turns in a script to Hollywood, and it's like the best Hollywood thriller in years. What'd you do? I let the doctors take care of me.
Yep,
Shadow
that's
and Sun
good.
says 5 days and counting. Um, we have, and he's counting down to Saturday, just to let you know. Shadow doesn't get to play as much as he wants to.
Well, it'll be fun.
Six Nation 31 King says, my dad rented Parents back in the day and had me watch it with the family. Midnight Meat Train would be quite acceptable.
Hmm.
So, Brooke
I'd never
Shield,
seen it before.
you've never seen this before?
This is the first time I've ever seen it.
This is like one of those movies that you get that it's like later on, the main is like a big star and he's like everybody's favorite person in Hollywood. And Jennifer Aniston goes on dates with him, and that has happened. But this is one of those little movies that somebody said, ooh, there's a rising star. I could help you pay your apartment rent or your mortgage. Come hither,
Mhm.
young boy. And so they snatch up Bradley Cooper before he gets into the Hangover movies. And
Mhm.
they're like, this is a Clive Barker movie. What do you know about Clive Barker? He's like, I don't know anything about Clive Barker. And he's like, okay, well, the first act, well, you're just a photographer and you meet Brooke Shields and she says to you, your photography has promise, but you don't have the fortitude to photograph what really goes on in New York.
Well, because she didn't think that it was gritty, it
Yeah.
wasn't it a sent down and dirty part of the city,
Doesn't
and
have
that's
that
what she was wanting.
meat.
And I was real impressed. That's one thing I was impressed with Brooke Shields. She actually acted like she had acting chops.
Yeah, Brooke Shields, like, this is the first movie I've ever seen her act in.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was impressed because she she was still beautiful, but she was definitely mature from Blue Lagoon,
Hmm.
and she could actually act. That those are the three things I noticed the most from her. But she did good. I thought she did really good as a person in a gallery that wasn't going to take no crap into her gallery and make her look bad
No.
just because a friend asked her to. She said, "You got promise. You just got to bring me something that's got some teeth." Basically. And I understand that. So I thought she did good.
Yeah, because you're kind of in that same, and I'm not wanting to get too deep on what Janet from Another Planet does to pay her mortgage. What I want to do is like Janet's background is Tinseltown, and she's
Well,
got
some aspects of it.
some aspects, and you've been in front and behind the camera. You've done
Hmm.
other associated things, and one of the things you're trying to get into, you're trying to break into the script world,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
that's a fun one. But like, if you don't have the right amount of grit, people won't give you that respect. That like, okay, we're going to give you this much money and do your dream project. Here you go.
Hmm. Well,
So
you have to have the right people see it too, and you got to have, just like he did. That's the part that I understood, is that it doesn't matter how much talent you have. If no one sees it, then it doesn't matter. The right
exactly,
person doesn't take it and say, "Hey, this got something. We're gonna make a few changes. It's rough around the edges, but it's a good story."
yeah, and
So,
she's got the keys to the gate.
yeah, his gate he wants to open.
So
So,
whenever he goes out, he gets kind of ballsy,
hmm
and he kind of surveys his surroundings, and he sees this pretty girl that like she's gorgeous,
hmm
and then he watches her almost get raped on a stairwell at the subway.
yep.
Kind of a scary thing. Like when I first started watching this years ago, and that scene happened, I thought this is a pretty brave movie for 2008. This is not the type of movie that I would expect Brad Cooper to be in.
Mm-mm.
And he continues to photograph the rape in progress, and he says, "Hey, listen, stop." And the guy stopped, and the
Well,
leader
he
of the car,
stopped
yeah,
because she looked at him.
yes,
And you could see his expression change from excitement and the thrill of what was going on to, oh, this is really happening. It's not just, a facade or whatever.
yeah,
So then he said, "Hey," that's when he yelled.
yeah.
So
He
if she
stopped.
hadn't looked at him, who knows what could have happened before he came to his senses.
Well, I'm pretty certain I know what happened.
Well, we know, but I mean, what would have happened with him? His character, him
Uh,
being involved in watching something like that happen in front of him and not doing anything.
I could see the
That
rest of
changes you.
I could see the act two be him talking to his fiance the entire time and pouring his heart out and saying, "I should have stopped it. I should have stopped it." I that's the vibe that I got. And his girlfriend would have gone from being like a demure young thing to like a woman who like she eventually gets tired of coddling him and is like, "You got to stop feeling sorry for yourself. It's New York. This is what
Mhm.
happens here."
Yeah.
And I hate to say that
Mhm.
because she doesn't seem like a bad person. Her arc comes out in act two and act three. But when he stops at and then he points the camera like, right, hey, you ever been in a movie? And
Yeah,
there's
the security camera, which probably wasn't even on or working, but they didn't know that.
no,
And the character, the man they got to play the lead,
the
of
thug.
the three thugs, he was pretty scary.
He is very threatening. I've got
Very
to
threatening.
I was actually pretty impressed with his performance. And then later when Brooke Shields is looking at the photographs of everything, she kind of echoes everything the audience is feeling after that.
Yeah, the grime of the city, the
Yeah,
what's down underneath, what's going on down there.
I'll let you talk for a minute. I mean, not for a minute, but I mean, if you have things to say about Act One,
Well, it's just that when you're first watching him, when he first is introduced from the woman, it makes him feel like he's got potential and that he could overnight, once he's in one of her shows, have a chance to be a well-known name in the art world, in the biggest city. That's if you want to get your name out there, that's the best place to do it. So he's all excited about it, and he has a few drinks with his girlfriend and her, I guess,
best friend.
person that's like, yeah, they're real good friends, but he's in the art business or whatever. He's in the biz,
Hmm.
and because of that, he's like got like a renewed sense of manliness. Like, he wants to go out and take on the world. He's got the world on his shoulders now.
Got the
So
world
when
by
he
his tree.
goes down into the subway, he following the thugs, because he's just sitting on a bench looking around trying to think, what can I possibly find that's any good? And then he sees those thugs, and something about him, makes you could tell that the hairs on the back of his neck stood up, because the thrill of not knowing what kind of stuff these guys are going to get in the middle of. So when they went down to the subway, he just said, I'm going to follow them and see, what I can find. Maybe I can get something that she might think is bigger than what I already had in my pictures. Lively, full of character and grit, like she was saying that she was looking for. So that whole aspect, when he went down there, he didn't know what was going to happen, but he followed them. And when he kept walking, and this young woman's coming up the steps, and they start messing with her. You don't know for sure what they're going to do, or they're going to just, take her purse or whatever. I wasn't really thinking full out rape, but, assaulting her, groping her, and taking her bag. That's what I was thinking. But when she looked up and saw that he was watching, it snapped him back to reality, that it's not just, pretend, that's reality. And that's when he looked around his environment, and he saw that there was a security camera. So he wanted to make sure they knew that they were already on camera and that the police would know about it. So, for that scene. But it was thrilling. I mean, to me, it almost looked like it was going to be a more of a thriller, psycho thriller, than it was going to be a slash 'em up movie.
Yeah.
So
I'll agree with that.
So that's where I was seeing it go. Because remember, I hadn't seen it before until last night or yesterday when you sent me the link to watch.
Well, this movie is it's a hard R.
Definitely. So I was expecting it to be more like TNA, and a few people dying or whatever, because I don't know, just the way that you were talking about it, that's what I was thinking. TNA and a little bit of blood and women screaming and boobies flashing and, that kind of stuff. That's what I was thinking for typical, like Friday the 13th type slasher movie. But this definitely wasn't like that.
No. And I'll try to do better next October for you.
No, it was good. I mean, I like seeing movies I haven't seen before. And I'm just shocked that I'd never heard of it before, because I love Vinnie Jones. I think he's a really good actor. He plays a really good bad guy.
And that's where
I loved him as Juggernaut.
He did great as Juggernaut. It's just that script was miserable.
Well, yeah, but I thought he did good for the character. And that's how I looked at him. Just like this character in this movie, I thought he did good considering, what his character was.
He only had one line in the movie. We'll get into that later. This movie gets really dark when it introduces Vinnie Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And it has that subway killing where you have the three people that the woman's talking about, what happens on subways at night, right? And the other guy's like, it's not that bad. And then her boyfriend's like, we're going to take the exit. We're going to leave. And we'll just find a better way home. I don't want to have her freaking out, and all of a sudden they realize, wait, we didn't stop at the station.
Yeah, because the train is going like really, really fast.
Yes.
So to me, right off the bat, I thought something was going on, because the camera's staying on Vinnie Jones's character from when he leaves his apartment, him getting dressed all up in a really nice suit, like he was working in the stock market or something like that. And he's got cufflinks on, it's like, I just thought that was pretty bizarre. And he sits and he waits, and people are walking by, and, it's like a stop and go action going around him. So you can see time is passing while he's sitting at the subway waiting for to me, the trains don't go very many places. You know what I mean? If you're in one station that's the train in that one station only goes on certain tracks. It doesn't go over the whole city. You know what I mean? Because there's different trains that go in different places. And so him sitting and waiting, it was like, what's he waiting for? You know, I was thinking about that. And then when he gets on the train, and then it seems like everything's fine, and a bunch of people get off, and then all of a sudden, you know, the train just starts going like a supersonic train, like it's got to get somewhere pretty fast or something. So I knew someone else was involved because someone else had to be running the train, you know, to keep it moving, so no one else would be getting on it or something. That was just in the back of my mind. Go ahead.
No, it just felt like it felt like it was a switching over to a Lovecraftian style movie at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the butcher comes out of Vinnie Jones, and they have the CGI blood. I don't really like that much. I'm not gonna try to flavor that up a bit, but I really do like the practical effects, and you can definitely tell in this movie where they switch from CGI to practical effects. When the young girl gets her head ripped off, and they have that almost great ADR of her last gasp of breath exiting her mouth, and she's staring back at her stump of a neck and the rest of her body. I thought that was probably where I was completely invested in the film. And I know that sounds, you're kind of morbid, Bruce, but I was ready to go. Because I just watched her two male friends get beaten to a pulp. One guy lost his eye, which that's kind of...
That was to me, that was really gruesome. But if you've ever, well, I have friends that were paramedics and things like that, and head injuries or lots of pressure on the head can pop your eye out. So that is possible for that to happen, which is gruesome. You know, like someone's getting their head squeezed, like in between two vehicles, where your eyes are going to pop out because the stuff's got to go someplace. And your eyes are just set in the sockets. They're not like they're only held in with certain tendons, you know. So that was gruesome and everything, but it really wasn't over the top, really, because we didn't know what was going on. I didn't, because see, you already knew him as a butcher. I didn't know what he was doing until I saw him actually performing the act of killing that when that man woke up. You know, the man at the very, very beginning, when he woke up and he looked and he saw the guy murdering people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So before you even saw Bradley or whatever his name is, Brad Cooper. So that whole thing is what opened my eyes. And I was like, oh, this is gross. This is going to be really disgusting because it was so much blood. And then I was thinking how much it's going to stink in this train. And then the next day, when Bradley Cooper's reading the newspaper and it says the girl's missing, you know, I was like, okay, the train's been running all night long and nobody noticed it's all bloody and stinky, you know, body parts in it or whatever. So I don't know. That was like, I didn't understand, you know, what was going on. So, and then I knew there had to be someone else, because when you're wearing this really nice suit, you know, and you're bludgeoning people with a ginormous metal meat mallet type thing pointed on one side and spiky on the other side, you're going to be covered with head to toe with blood. And then when you see the guy sliding around in the other person's blood and people getting dragged around and everything and blood splattering on the side of the inside of the train and stuff, it's like, you know, they had to go somewhere to clean the whole thing out. It had to be completely hosed. You know, there was just no way you're going to just take a mop and bucket. And that takes a long time to clean up that kind of a mess. Or someone else cleaned it up. So I knew it was more than one person, or maybe more than two people that was involved. So in the back of my mind, you know, so I knew it was some kind of conspiracy or sicko group of psychos, or, you know, I didn't know for sure what was going on, but I knew it wasn't just the one guy.
I'd like to say hello to Mr. George Lucas. Thank you for peeping in on us. George, you've affected my life in a great and wonderful way. Thank you. Elle, I'm going to respond to one of your comments in my next Dungeons and Delvers video I do later on this week. and I'm not going to add anything to it, but just our back and forth on YouTube. I'll just give it some audio because I think that's a pretty important piece for that playlist. Six Nation 31 King says, I was raised on Savini, Botine, etc. You learn to appreciate practical effects in film. If you have medical or military friends and family, the dark humor pops up once in a while too. Yeah, there was the third day or second or third day I was on the USS McCandless 1084. That thing had a gunner's mate seaman decide to take his own life because our PN seaman apprentice or personnelman seaman apprentice that he was seeing, she dumped him. And so he decided to act on it. And he failed miserably at suicide. So there was more blood than what normally is at a scene. So I got to say that I know that we were lucky to keep him alive, but he still doesn't speak right. It's been over 30 years. Bones like train, steak, meat, ham. Hell yeah. Janet says, thank you for joining us up tonight. Appreciate that. Joining up with us. This and my military service was just military, I mean, it's just Navy. Did it for 8 years on the contract, 2 years active. But I got to say that there was a lot of things that I got to see that I would have never seen. Well, you're entitled to say that you can agree with Max and everything's a copy of Dungeons and Dragons with zero innovation. You're entitled to that. Go ahead. But it's who gets paid. And when it's not Hasbro, when it's not WotC, because Hasbro is putting out crowdfunded toys for hundreds of dollars when they're an $11 billion company, they have no need for crowdfunding. They're just taking your money and investing it. And then you have WotC, which they're destroying the IPs they have. But go ahead. I'd rather not play anything post 2000 WotC. All right. So, back to this movie here, which we transitioned to meeting Vinnie Jones's character, which he's a very nicely dressed man, and he's got a funny ring on. You noted the ring, didn't you, Janet? Okay.
Yes, that's why the all the parts between Bradley Cooper and his girlfriend when she's liking his work because he's hanging his pictures up in their kitchen and very they did already seem like they've been together for a while, like they know each other, they're very comfortable with each other because when he first walks in the apartment and she's reading sitting on the couch, in the very first scene when you get to see her for the first time, he just walks casually by her straight into the kitchen. He doesn't walk right up to her and kiss her. So, they've been in a relationship a little longer than, because he's not like still going fawning over, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
she's quite the attractive lady. She's Christine Everhart from Iron Man 2, I believe.
Well, I mean, his character walking right past her into the kitchen instead of running straight to her when he first walks in, to me, told me that they had been in a relationship for a while. They weren't like newly together. So, because to me, when you're first together, you're just fawning over each other 24/7. You know what I mean? Whenever you're together, you're like holding hands or snuggling or, all that stuff. So it showed me that they've been together for a while, that they hadn't just moved in together or it wasn't new. So they're used to each other. They don't have to, fawn over each other to know that, they're there or they love each other or they care for each other. But when he went past her and he talked to her about her still studying or whatever, because I guess she's trying to do some stuff, night classes or whatever, because she's a waitress and she works in a restaurant. And he spent an awful lot of time stopping by the restaurant and stuff. So when the story starts getting where he starts getting more obsessed with this butcher guy, because then he reads the paper that girl disappeared and she was I guess a famous model, which to me was kind of weird when he goes to talk to the police officer, and she's talking about him taking pictures of her and all this stuff, almost like he's obsessed with her, that maybe he's stalking her, that kind of attitude. But I'm like, if she's a famous model where people would recognize her supposedly walking down the street, then why doesn't she have an entourage or another person with her? That type of thing. I thought that was kind of, I don't know. That was like a plot hole or not a very good setup for that character, or explanation for who she was or something. I don't know. I just found something was off about that whole thing. And then I saw her necklace, the cop's necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice it?
I saw that a couple times.
So when the girlfriend, later on, I'll explain more about that because I don't want to jump forward like I did last week.
You can.
I mean, because I know a few people made comments about it, and I don't want to jump forward until we get to that part of the story.
Well, this movie has been out for the past 14 years. And I'm not telling people that you came here and you're not going to get a spoiler discussion, because that's a lie.
Yeah.
So,
well, we're talking about the whole movie, almost pretty much every detail of every movie we've talked about.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing older movies. So we're pretty sure that most people have seen them already. Or if they haven't seen it, because of what we say, they might be interested in watching it.
And I really hope that the people that are here that like movies that are not afraid to get gritty and gory,
Mm-hmm.
if you've not seen this movie yet, go see it. I get it if you haven't. It wasn't a big splash when it came out. Janet, did you hear this movie before I said anything about it, or no?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
That's why I was surprised, because the first time I ever saw Bradley Cooper was when he was in the A-Team.
Ooh.
So I don't know when that movie came out, but it was on. I saw it at home. I don't remember who I was with or anything like that. But
2010 or 2000. So it was about the same time this came out.
Okay, so that was the first time I ever even heard of him. Wasn't he the one that was in there and played Face or something? He was a good-looking one.
Yep. He
Okay.
played the Dirk Benedict character.
And I loved it. I thought the A-Team movie was really good, and I liked his character. And I liked the nutty guy, the crazy guy that was in Armageddon. That guy.
Yes.
That was the reason I wanted to watch it, was because of that actor. I can't remember what his name is, but for whatever reason, I wanted to see that movie because of him and the guy that played the leader of the A-Team. Those are the two actors that I was interested in watching. And I thought it might be a little bit of a comedy too. So that's why I wanted to watch it. But no, I'd never heard of this movie until you brought it up. And I remember I told you when you first said it, I thought you were talking about Terror Train, the one with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Now, I won't do a Jamie Lee Curtis movie. It's just something.
Well, when you said Terror Train or something, it's what it sounded like to me. So that's the only one I've seen.
We did True Lies. That's the closest to a Jamie Lee Curtis movie you'll ever hear me talk about.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my favorite movie she's ever done.
Yeah, it was a good movie. But this one, after he becomes obsessed,
Yes.
It's like almost an overnight sensation. And that was one of the things, the first thing I didn't like about the movie, okay, was the fact that his girlfriend comes home from work and there's all the pictures and the map and all the stuff. I mean, strewn from one end of the apartment to the other. And it was almost like overnight, instead of him slowly building up and us seeing the interaction between her, seeing him getting more and more obsessed with the butcher guy. thinking that he's killing all these people that are missing, and that was this guy was the one doing it. I just thought that was they drag out a couple scenes before that scene, okay, between him and his girlfriend when she comes home from work and sees him, you know, basically crawling around the ground and looking at all these pictures and all that, and he's trying to show her that he saw this guy get on the same train with that woman. Okay, so he's pretty sure, and it was really late at night and there wasn't hardly anybody there, that he has something to do with hurting her or making her disappear, or he saw other people on the train. Remember, that's what kind of stuff he was saying. So to me, I don't know. I thought that they draw out the scenes, certain scenes, but then the scene with him and her, it's like really quick. You know, it's like crammed, a bunch of information all crammed into a very short amount of time, and it wasn't. It didn't. I mean, they could have took a little bit of time away from the blood and gore and the slashing and the blood and the buckets of blood being thrown at the camera and, you know, all that stuff. Took a few seconds from there, here and there, and put them into the other scenes to add a little more detail about the overwhelming change that he's going through, his character arc of becoming obsessed, knowing that in his mind that this guy is the killer and that he's the one killing, because the feeling that he got when the guy bumped into him in the on the train, and he kind of like, you know, got that overall fear, and you could sense that this guy was petrifying, you know, without even saying a word. You know, he just grabbed a hold of him, and I thought he was going to pee his pants, you know, because he was very scary, this person, and menacing, because he was so huge. He was a huge, ginormous guy, and he just had that menacing stare and the look on his face. He looked off his rocker. This guy was, he just looked the part. So that's that whole part, though, the way she reacted to him, and then when she started taking off her clothes for him to take pictures of her, and she was trying to lead him down the hallway, and he wasn't able to focus on her because she felt rejected, because, you know, she's stripping for him and trying to be, you know, draw him into away from what environment he was in, you know, obsession over the butcher and all the stuff that he had strewn all over the living room, to get him away from it. And when he couldn't, you know, he couldn't get into it, she got real upset and slammed the door, you know, crying and stuff. So that's when you saw that there's tears in their what we thought was a really, really good relationship between the two of them. They'd been together for a little while. So I thought that was kind of sad, but they could have made it a little bit more where you were pulled in and wanted to root for them as a couple if they took a little more time in that scene, I thought. So I thought that was I didn't really enjoy that part of the movie. I thought it took away from the characters because they were rushed to try to pacify people in that, you know, in that aspect of it. And the whole thing, the character of the supporting actor, I can't remember what his name was, the one that was her friend, the art guy that worked with art and stuff in the city. I thought he didn't get enough time in the movie for you to actually care what happens to him later on in the movie. You know what I mean?
No, he doesn't get enough time. They focused a lot on the Ted Rainey character, and then they gave back a little bit of time to her art connection friend, and that was about it.
Yeah. But it didn't even have to be with art. If him and his girlfriend were really close friends before, because it was almost like he already knew this guy before he met her. Okay, so this middle guy, the guy that introduced him or got him a viewing with this famous gallery owner, okay, that he was friends with both of them. So because of him, them two met.
Yep.
Is what I picked up from the general conversation. So I mean, he's a friend enough that he comes and hangs out, and has a few drinks with him and stuff. So,
Not
um,
everybody. You have a lot of people in your phone, but you probably don't have a lot of time for everybody in your phone to come and drink tequila with you when you've
no.
just done a sale.
Mm-mm.
You know, and that's where I was falling at with this. I'm like, okay, this is a good friend of his. This is somebody that he cares about.
Yeah, good friend of both of them. But
Mhm.
she seemed to be really close with him. Like they were really, really close friends, which I can understand because I have lots of guy friends that are just friends and we just talk and talk about work or politics or, whatever's going on. And that's what it seemed like to me. But they didn't, I think that they messed up by not putting a little bit more detail into certain the couple of the scenes that he was in before his demise later on in the movie to give you more like you know sadness over the whole
Yes.
thing. I mean, it was I wanted to like him more, you know what I mean? But it was like I'm not going to blame editing this time though, because I really don't think it was. I really think that it had a lot to do with the script
The script.
and the director's vision of what he wanted to show people. It was almost like he went way overboard with the slasher stuff instead of. I mean, I'm trying to think
This
of
could
how
have
I
been
would
a
say.
really good character building film.
Yes. Okay.
This
Vinny's
could have
character.
focused on the characters and really made you feel a lot of sorrow for the losses that happen in it. But it
Mhm.
doesn't focus on that. Every time it starts to get a little closer, you see like there's a tie here, there's a piece of a conversation that suggests this over here in their past. The moment that starts to happen, this movie takes you to the subway. There's not enough blood in this movie. I've got to get it on the line of NC-17.
Yeah.
And
I don't.
I'm not upset with that.
No, I can understand it. It's a slasher film, so it's gonna be blood and gore. But the thing is that it could have been such uh, a way better movie to me, um, and still had the slash and gore in it. But the story arc alone for where I thought they were going with it, um, it could have been higher. Like the whole
Yes.
scene where he snuck into the meat packing company to try to get more details about the butcher
Mhm.
himself, what
Yeah.
he did, where he worked, and what he was doing while he was at work or whatever. I guess his obsession just drove him to go in there. But while he's in there, it's like um him watching this guy almost like there's no one else at all in the building
Yep.
when there
Nobody
is.
says a thing to him.
Yeah, but it's not just that because most people go to work in a factory like that. Believe it or not, I worked in a chicken plant when before I graduated from high school because I had to have money so I could pay for my own, prom dress and my annual and things like that.
Hmm.
And my senior ring is I had to have a part-time job and I worked in the summer. So, and I worked in a chicken plant because there wasn't really much, when you live in the South, there's not much, it's not like and it was dry. There was nowhere to drink in the certain counties that we lived in, and it was underage, so I wouldn't have been able to, you know, be a cocktail waitress or anything like that. But so in a processing thing, it's loud. There's a saws, there's other noises, fans running, conveyor belts, all this different sounds, and it's cold because most of them it's got refrigerated rooms or whatever in it, and so I can see that you got a white jacket on and a net on your head or a hat. People don't just nobody pays attention to it. You just getting your job done, you're getting your hours so you can clock out and go home. So them not talking to anyone wasn't the big thing. It was the fact that Bradley Cooper's character just wandered around looking for the one guy. He didn't. I don't know. It just seemed rushed. You know what I mean? It just seemed rushed. And even when the part where Vinnie Jones's character does see him, and he goes chasing after him, leaving his spot. Now, see, that's the one thing that I took offense to, is because when you're working on an assembly line like they were, the meat's coming in, they got to chop off certain pieces and then throw away the parts that you're not going to use, because they're packing up the meat. They're packing up the ribs or the rump roasts and whatever else. Okay.
Whatever they're hacking up on, they've got to get it ready for the store shelf.
Yeah. So, and there's other people there. There's like 10, 15 other people on the same table on either side with him. So him just walking off would be something everybody would notice, what's he doing, but nobody seemed to react or anything. So I thought that maybe in back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, maybe all these people are in on it. Maybe all the people working in this certain meat factory are in on whatever's going on this train. That's the only thing I could think of. But and then later, when I saw the ending and stuff, none of it made sense. So it all started clicking. I'm like, what the,
I thought he was a boss. I thought he was like a line captain. And with him not having the ability, you'll find out later, Vinnie Jones can't speak. Not well. And he, when I first saw it, I thought he was a line boss. And so him just walking away from the table, I'm like, why isn't anybody else saying anything? Well, maybe he's in charge of them, and they just know that occasionally he's like, I've got a bad prostate, gotta go pee. Or I've got this, I've got to go hack a cow. Or I've got to go do something. I thought maybe that he would be in a position of power because he's a big man.
Yeah.
And if you say like, hey, get back to the table, he would look at you kind of funny.
Well, he did have that one look, because when Bradley Cooper's character was taking pictures of him from behind the pallets,
yes,
and he turned, he had that menacing, glare looking at him, and then he hid because it scared him. And then when he stuck his head back out like a retard, and Vinny's looking right at him, and then he started running. So the whole thing was very obvious that something wasn't right, and nobody did anything. So that's why I was thinking that they were all in on whatever it was, some special, cannibalism group, or, I didn't know. I wasn't, I was just trying to think in the back of my mind, what else would they want to do with dead people? And at first, the first thing I thought when I saw him take the eyes out and stuff, I was thinking, okay, they're selling body parts, he's harvesting the eyes. He's taking different parts for someone else. And that's, I mean, think about it right now. They were just talking about it. I think it was yesterday and today about somebody getting arrested for selling organs, harvesting organs and making money off of people. You know what I mean? So to me, that whole aspect of what I was watching in the movie yesterday made me really think, well, maybe that's what this is. It's a meat train, because they're killing all these people that they don't think anybody's going to give a crap, because it's 2:00 in the morning or 3:00 in the morning, and only lowlifes or whatever would ride the train, except for that that one couple that was on there with the other guy, because they were trying to hurry get somewhere, and then that's when she freaked out, realizing, hey, I don't want to be on this train, and they ended up dying because her senses were right on. So they ended up dying on the train. And it was gruesome and scary. And it, but I don't know. I just really had a hard time, especially when he showed the pictures to his girlfriend. He was trying to explain to her, and she's looking at him really funny. And when she went to the police department later, when she started thinking that something was wrong, started believing him because of when he came back with his chest like cut up or whatever, she's looking at those pictures. I was thinking, she's going to look and see that ring on his hand and go, oh my God, the woman that I just talked to had the same signal on her necklace that he had on his ring. And then she's going to know that this woman can't be trusted, but she didn't. So I was like, oh, they always do that. It's the same thing in every slasher movie. That's one of the things I don't like about slasher movies, is that all the people are stupid. It's not just women, it's men and women that are stupid, and they can't put two and two together. And that's why they just, walk into whatever dumb shit's going to happen to them, because nobody can think or something. And that was one thing I didn't like about the way that the movie was directed, is because it seemed like he was taking this from that movie and this from that movie and this from Godzilla and this from that movie, and putting it all together, trying to mash it into his own movie and make it his. But I just didn't enjoy those little things like that, because it could, to me, it looked like it had a lot of potential into being something, a really good thriller. But for some reason, the director squandered a pretty good, what could have been a good movie.
Well, this movie, it started off as a short story, and 6 Nations, 31 Kings kind of steals some thunder from the end of the stream, and that's okay because you're preaching to the choir, Janet. But this here is where the original story shines. In this story, there's a lot of hats that are in play, and Clive Barker does a masterful job of showing you everything going on, and you get a fuller picture. Now, I'm not saying that you have to forget about this movie and go read the book, but if you ever find yourself at a bookstore and you want to read a good story, the Books of Blood are a really good little anthology series by Clive Barker, and you're going to read
I
that.
like Clive Barker.
I love him. I think he's so much better than Stephen King. I don't care about his personality. I don't care about his personal life, but as a writer, and this is where I generally can be like, okay, if I don't see you on social media, but I like your product, please stay off my social media so I can continue to believe you're not a fucking weirdo. And this is where I've not intersected with Clive Barker, because I really like what I read about him. He's a great author, and this movie goes into that antediluvian, the eldritch horror shit so much more than what the movie does. The movie touches on it. It grazes it. It almost full on kisses you at the end with the information. But then it pulls back and it just walks away. And you're like, you went from an 8 to a 6. What the fuck? And that's how I feel this movie goes, because this movie is she's drawn into it to try to get her fiance back, and she takes her art friend with her to the hotel where Mahogany is staying at, and that's Vinnie Jones's character's name.
Yeah. Because they're going to try to get the camera back because she believes him now.
Yes.
Okay, when he's trying to, but see, to me, that was a really good scene. That whole scene where they're in the apartment and they're searching. Okay, and the fact that her friend went with her. See, I was starting to even like him more and care more about him, because he was willing to go in here to this nutcase's house, even if he didn't believe that he was some kind of, butcher, slasher, killer guy. Okay. The fact that he snuck in to help find this camera for his friends, not know if this guy's just going to come back and beat the crap out of him. You know what I mean? To me, that showed his character, and he was the nicest guy basically in the movie. You know what I mean? He was the one guy that was friendly. He was there for him, trying to help him with his career, and he was willing to get arrested or beat up to help his friend find the camera so he could prove that this, whatever was on there, that, to find the evidence. So to me, I was starting to like this guy. He had meaning, had purpose, and I didn't want to see him have to, to die. But so, by the simple cuts here and there that you could tell the director made, because he was pushing, it just seemed like he pushed and pushed and pushed when it came to taking the buckets of blood and, doing this and showing, hacking up the bodies and going the hooks going through the ankles, all those little details, which were good, but he could have made the movie a little bit longer, 10 minutes longer, and added so much depth to the characters.
There is a director's cut. There is a director's cut that's about 8 minutes more. I've not seen it. I can't tell you if it's better or worse, but I would I would just tell you that in my head, this movie is supposed to be about 2.5 hours long, and it doesn't get rid of any of the gory scenes, but there is a lot more character developing of the city, of Bradley Cooper, of his fiance, of Brooke Shields. You get more depth in the movie that's in my head, and that's why I probably love this film so much, because I've read the short story, and I've read a lot of Clive Barker, and this movie would fit so damn well in just a fictional universe. But then we have this fucker in real life named David Icke, or David Icke.
Yeah.
And yeah, Bruce won't mind going into conspiracy territory on this one. Um, I really like David Icke. I like his book, The Greatest Secret. I've not read Children of the Matrix all the way through yet, but I've got to say that I've heard probably 70 hours of David Icke on various just single person speeches or sermons or whatever you call it, when people go pay for him to just rattle off about lizard people. And
Mhm.
that's what he does best, and
Yeah.
I don't I'm not going to say I believe it, but I will say that I've looked at a lot of old Sumerian stuff, and I've done my best to find quite a bit of History Channel before they jumped on the Ancient Aliens train. And the Ancient Aliens train brought me to other things that David Icke was already talking about. But in our world, which has so many gray areas and question marks, I really, I really think that Clive Barker wrote this in the middle of a fever dream, predicting the future, being seated at a David Icke sermon, and that's what I'm going to call it, because when you're at these places, you can't really question David. You can't really. You're just digest, just take what I'm feeding you, and that's what it is. And if you want to question it later, go on ahead, and what I do that quite often. But the ancient text, the ancient artwork, the various bas reliefs we've seen, there's an awful lot of lizard, snake, fish people in old Sumerian artwork. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. But
And
like,
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to wrap up with, like, this movie leads off onto so much, and it kind of fails on a couple things, but it really succeeds on others. And it's a very good schlocky movie. If you want if you want the best, most apex schlocky movie, complete with CGI blood and practical effects, slippery blood effects on the floor. If you want dangling eyeballs and severed heads off shoulders, this movie will leave you wanting to rewatch it. And I rewatched
And
this movie four
and the
times this
and
week.
the makeup people, whoever did the makeup for the torn and cut up flesh on the people, and
Yes.
the eyeball coming out and all those different things, they did a really good job. All that seemed very believable. Even some of the scenes where the blood was splashing up on someone, or on the people coming out of the wounds or whatever, it seemed very realistic. But the part that I had a hard time with was, as the blood's coming out of the person, when it looks like there's like a wheelbarrow amount of blood, there's
Yeah.
no way that person's still going to be moving.
No. No.
Okay, a few pints and the person's squealing, making noises or whatever.
Yeah.
That's realistic. But a wheelbarrow's amount of blood and the person's still moving or talking or whatever, because the heart doesn't pump when there's nothing left to pump.
No.
There's
It's
no pressure
it
in
dry
the
fire.
veins. Okay, yeah. There's no pressure in the veins to keep the blood pumping. So, and there's not that much blood in a human body, unless even if they're huge. I mean, if they're like a 500-pound man, I don't even think he'd have a wheelbarrow blood of blood in him. He's not Jabba the Hutt. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I mean, the special effects when it came to the, the gore part of it, I thought was really good. I mean, I like good special effects when it comes to body parts getting cut up and the realism of what the flesh, the torn and cut up flesh looked like was very realistic. The colors and stuff was gruesome, but it was I don't know, it was just the overall thing. Like when he had the fight with the big black guy that came on the
Rampage
train.
Jones from A-Team. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, when he fought that guy and he got the crap beat out of him basically, and the conductor or whatever came out of the train, and I saw who he was, that he was the same guy that played in the I think it was the second Underworld movie, the werewolf's brother.
Yes.
Okay. When he played, that's when I realized, oh, he's definitely in on it. This guy is I recognized him and I said, yeah, he's probably the one running the whole thing. I didn't know for sure, but I knew he was a big wig in the involved in whatever conspiracy was going on. So that was pretty obvious. But I just didn't know how many other people, because I'm sorry. Oh God, I had to yawn.
We've kept Janet up for the past 37 hours. She's not laid down yet after watching this movie twice.
No, I did take a nap, but I have been really busy, and I worked out this morning too. But the fact that they rushed, to me, they spent way too much time cutting up the bodies, throwing the blood on everything, making the gorifying it like, I mean, look at Friday the 13th had a lot of gore in it. I mean, it was very gory, I thought, but it still had plenty of time to explain the story of who the killer was and why the killer was killing. And to me, they rushed through so much. And then the whole aspect of when you see him in the bathroom and he's cutting those fleshy growths off his chest. Okay.
I want to speak about that, but go ahead.
Put them in a jar. And then it's making you think, okay, so, all right, this guy is transforming into something else, or he has some kind of horrible disfiguring disease. Okay. And he only cut off a couple and put them in jars. And why is he keeping them in jars? I mean, they left huge giant gaps, in the story, and they never explain it to you. So all the way to the end, okay, I'm gonna have to use this as a sex metaphor, basically.
Go ahead.
You meet a guy, you're hot and heavy, and you're making out, and you're dripping. I mean, you're just dying you're ripping your clothes off as fast as you can because you just want to be with them. And then you start to have sex, and you're romping around and doing all that, and all of a sudden he goes limp. Okay. So you're left going, what the,
But this has never happened before.
So, basically that's how I felt. I'm watching this movie intently, waiting for the climax, okay, to end and answer the things on his chest. And what is this group of people? Why are they doing it? What's the insignia mean? All these different questions that are going through my head as I'm collecting them like a giant clue game, through the movie, to put it together at the end so it makes sense and understanding. And I'm left hanging, like going, oh, you're so frustrated because there's no ending. You don't get the happy ending at all, and not even a partial happy ending. So I don't know, that's how I felt when I got to the end of the movie. It was very I was not
Shadow and Sun says, do we really want to know why he did that, Janet?
Did what?
Go ahead.
Explained
Shadow.
it that way. I was trying to say that, you want to get to the climax of the movie and have enjoyment, to see the ending, see the hero win or whatever is supposed to happen, because the story's coming together and you get an ending, but this movie, there isn't one. There's no climax, so you don't get any satisfaction. That's how I felt.
This movie, God, I mean, it
And it
succeeds.
could, and it had so much potential. It had great actors. It had a good, what we thought, story. That the photography was excellent. I mean, the special effects were good. The music was good. None of the music took me out of the scenes. You know what I mean? I was enthralled trying to, put the story together. And and then the girlfriend getting a gun, she goes all the way to the restaurant, she gets the gun to help defend him when she goes there, because she knows that just bad shit going down. She doesn't know for sure what it is, but she takes a gun that she doesn't even know how to use, because she's within almost point blank range. She can't shoot. Then she drops the gun on the ground. It's within feet of her, and her boyfriend's getting the crap beat out of him by this guy that's twice as big. And she just sits there, looking at him, when she could have got the gun and shot the guy, at least try to go right up to him and shoot him in the kneecap or something. So it was just overall frustrating, and you don't get the climax.
You do get a climax, but man,
No, it doesn't answer any questions. Nothing gets answered. It's just a big gaping hole at the end, with buckets of blood all over. Hey, I'm giving my honest opinion
You're
of
fine
what I
to it,
saw in this
and
movie.
you're entitled to it.
So, we're not supposed to agree on everything, and that's boring.
Yeah, this movie, it needed about another hour.
Well, at least another 30 minutes. If it had 30 more minutes, then I feel like maybe some, holes might have been filled, and someone might have been happy.
Shadow, why did he cut those parts off? Why did he cut the little nodules off his chest and jar them? Janet's going nuts over here.
We don't know. They never answer it.
Yeah,
because he does change into something, but you don't know what it is. You don't know why he looks different.
I'm pretty certain it has something to do with the fucking lizard people.
Well, to me, I was thinking, oh, they're zombies. Okay, so underneath the city, there's another city, just like in the Planet of the Apes and a couple other movies that I've seen, where New York City has a whole nother city underneath in the dregs of the old city that was built on top of the new one, and whatever. But you don't get it. You don't get any answers. Nobody tells you. They just say it's an old society. We've been doing this for a long time. Blah blah blah. They don't answer anything. You know what I mean? It's a big gaping hole. It's like I said, strap a board to your ass because you're gonna fall through it. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. I mean, and it was sad. I mean, because I wanted this movie to be good. You got Bradley Cooper in it and Vinnie Jones. I was expecting wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You know what I mean? And that's not what I got.
No, this movie does fall short on that. And the movie, I mean, you're right.
It wasn't because of the special effects. The special effects were kick ass.
Yeah. David Koran is in this movie, and he explains that the things that are eating, please step away from the meat. Whenever he says that, the movie takes another step down on the I should not have eaten before watching this movie the first time.
Yeah, it was pretty gross, and I was trying to eat while I was watching it.
You have the worst timing with food, but I won't go into that. I'm just going to say that this movie, when you're watching it and you see everybody hanging upside down on the hooks, and you see the fiance trying to get her friend off the hook, and she can't lift him off, and it just, like, I'm going to tell you that, like, they were very good about getting the weight right with that, because there's really no way that 130-pound woman that's 5'8" should be able to heft a 170-pound man dangling on a meat hook through his tarsals.
Yeah, and plus he was covered with blood. Yeah. And you're slimy. People don't realize how slimy blood is. That's why the opening scene where that one man is asleep in the
Yes.
train,
Yes.
and he's walking and he slips and goes slams to the ground. That's realistic. That was that. And then he was rolling around and he was covered with blood. To me, that's why I said I was expecting a really intense movie after that scene, because all that, it was not too fast, but it was slow enough to where you're following along and you're expecting something. You're expecting that the tension is going up in the scene.
Yes.
That makes you want, you're leaning in a little more to see what's going to happen, because that's what a slasher movie, a thriller, is supposed to do. It's supposed to pull you in and leave you ready to go, and jump and scream or whatever, because that's why you watch these kind of movies, is you want to get that thrill, the excitement, the adrenaline rush from it. And I had an adrenaline rush, and I was going through waiting for the
finishing move.
That nothing never fulfills me. You know what I'm saying? It's like a dud at the end. So
Okay.
I was not happy with it.
I
with that part of it. Now, I was happy with lots of aspects in the movie, but it wasn't enough to me to save the movie because of that.
This movie, for me, I'm going to give my premature rating for it, and I'm going to say it's a 6.5 or 7, because even with its faults, knowing the larger story that they should have put into it from the book, from the story, that's what saves it for me. And that's why I tell you, like, there's parts of this where there's an internal movie I'm watching that's like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours easy. 2.5 hours is almost luscious overkill. And I'm so, Calvin, Ani, we're in spoiler territory.
Well, I hadn't seen the movie.
Legion
I never saw this movie before.
6.5 is what Vanessa gave to Eating Ass. So I don't really know how good this movie is now. Well, I'll just say that it's better than Cane's chicken with the spicy sauce. Not the Louisiana, what is that? The Louisiana hot rooster sauce. Or you guys that know hot sauce, you know this pathetic brand of hot sauce it says it's Cajun. It's just got a red rooster and white package, and you put that on your meat, and it just fails you miserably. This movie doesn't fail me miserably. This movie, like I said, it's about 7. But
what's he saying about 6.5? What is that?
A 6.5 out of 10.
I know, but who's Vanessa?
I'll have to show you. Max, damn you.
Gave to Eating Ass. I don't understand that. That's what I'm trying to understand, this comment.
Oh.
And now they're laughing because I asked it. But he showed me how to be able to read what people are saying, because I was like, I don't know what anybody's saying, because unless he posted it up on the screen, I wouldn't even see it. Well, he showed me, and now I'm trying to read so I can respond, and I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
I'll have to show you this shit after, because Beatty.
Is it one of the pictures from your dirty section on your Discord?
This is not from that.
Oh.
Although we should probably put it in there. Because this is one of those things that people will be like, oh yeah, Bruce got a video for the ass eating section of his Discord. And what?
If it's ass eating, then I don't need to see it.
Yeah, there we go.
I was just wanting to understand what it was and what's going on.
This girl tries to equate eating ass on a 1 out of 10 scale.
Oh, well then it's all right. That's enough for me. I understand now.
Oh, I'll send you the video.
I don't need to ask.
There's an accompanying video. We'll watch it after the show, because you'll watch it with me and you'll be like, "What are you doing to me, Bruce?" And I'm like, "I'm going to make you laugh, Janet, because it's funny."
Heck, I might even post some really sexy photos, not as sexy as what you guys got on there, but I would have to make sure they didn't go anywhere. That's one reason why I
That's
won't
the
do it.
problem with the internet. Things travel.
Yeah, so I won't. I can't do it because
Don't
I
do
can't
that.
risk it.
Don't do that. Elle was even saying, Janet, you're such a sheltered girl if you've never had your salad tossed. Oh,
What's
Cal,
my
no.
salad? I've heard of tossing your cookies before, and that's like throwing up, right?
No. This is eating the brown eye.
Oh, no. Mm-mm. No.
Just
That's way farther than I'm willing to go. I've only seen 2 porns in my whole life, people.
I feel so sorry for Janet right now. I love you, Janet. Thank you for not jumping off the stream and running away from this and ever to be seen.
No, I'm not a chicken. I'm interested in learning new things. I just don't know if I would do those things. I'm just saying I want to know what it is. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it.
I'll show you this comedy video because the video is funny as hell. I won't show it during this because I will get a community guideline strike.
I won't share it, believe me.
But hey, there's Squeaky Mouse. Speaking of defiled girls, that's funny, Elle. Hey, Squeaky. Yeah, the movie, the book is a little bit better at the very end because there is a big fight between Mahogany and Bradley, and they get into a really good ruckus. The movie does a very good job of showing you how visceral it is, although I don't really appreciate the fight. There's a scene where Bradley Cooper gets stabbed in the forearm, and he continues to fight. So, like, there's blood coming out of the blade, protruding through his forearm. Bradley Cooper is not a super big guy. He could be fit. He could be jacked with like 3 years in the gym and doing the right diet, but he's not a big movie. He's not a big guy in this movie. He's not Vinnie Jones. Yeah,
but see, that's one of the things. This is another thing that I had a hard time with. The scene where they're in the meat packing room and the meat's all hanging in rows, in the refrigerator part. And he runs in there and Vinnie Jones comes in, okay? Mm-hmm. And when Vinnie Jones starts to get down on the ground so he can look and see where he's at, and he grabs the hook, Bradley Cooper grabs the hook and pulls himself up, and you can see his hands shaking. Now, he's cold, but I knew he's not muscle bound, so he's not going to be able to hold himself up there for very long, right? So he didn't even last so many seconds of holding himself up there before he started letting his feet back down. Okay. He just happened to not get caught at that time. But the thing is, how is that wimpy noodle arm guy going to fight, physically fight somebody? And when Vinnie Jones comes down like this with a giant butcher knife over his face, and he's able to stop him. And this guy's up here coming down, right? Mm-hmm. And Bradley Cooper is able to just push his hands up there and stop him from stabbing him. So, just little things like that. I just really I was let down a little bit, because I was excited about watching the scene. I don't know. It just sucks sometimes when you really want it to be, I don't know.
If they would have portrayed him,
rough and, I don't know. I can't explain it, but yeah, Vinnie Jones is a huge guy. I mean, he could pick Bradley Cooper up and just snap him in two, is what I would think. So, I don't know. I just had a hard time. And the part where the scene, okay, this may sound bad, but did you guys ever see that movie with, what's his name? That played Batman. His mom was like a feminist or something, that actor. And he was in American Psycho, I think the name of the movie, where he puts on that plastic apron and shit.
You're talking about Christian Bale?
Yeah, okay. Remember that scene? Did you see that movie where he put on that apron and stuff? Okay. Well, the scene where Bradley's putting on the apron and putting the knives in and all that, to me, it was like they tried to reenact that scene a little bit. And then I kept having like deja vu in lots of different spots because I'd never seen this movie before. But it felt like the director was taking bits and pieces. He'd read the story that was written by Clive Barker, but he was taking this story and trying to add bits and pieces from other movies, famous scenes or whatever from other movies, and packing it in to replace whatever it was that was supposed to be in it. I don't know. It was like an eclectic mixture of him trying to grab everything he could and throw it in the pot, because then maybe something would be successful or something like that. So I just had I don't know. Did Clive Barker direct this movie too?
No.
Okay. See, too bad, because if he'd been involved, I think it probably would have been a lot better. You know what I mean? Because I could see some of the vision, the director's vision in certain scenes, because I thought some of the scenes were really, really, really good. Like the whole scene in the apartment when they're digging around and she's in the bathroom and she finds those creepy, gross things that were growing on his chest that he was cutting off and putting in there, all that. And then all of a sudden her friend's missing, and she comes back out and she's trying to find him. And it was just a whole creepy, making you, fear moving or breathing, because you don't know what's about to happen in the next few seconds, a jump scare scene or something like that. So it was very intense and very good scene. And to me, I had a hard time believing the director that directed that scene and a couple of the other scenes that I thought were really good also directed the ones with the guys, the buckets of blood. Bloop, bloop, it just, I don't know. It just didn't, to me, it didn't meld. It didn't, I don't know. It didn't go together well. His two different visions didn't mix. It was almost like it's five different people filming a movie and putting it together. I mean, does that make sense?
Yep.
So it was jumpy. It was like this instead of smooth transitioning from one scene to the next, telling a story to me. Even though it's slasher films, I mean, Friday the 13th was phenomenal because of just the way that they put everything together. The scene where he's laying in the bed and the knife comes up and turns, you about shit your pants, but didn't have to be a lot of blood, because you knew what was happening when the hand comes up, is holding his head down and he was dying. It was scared the shit out of you. And that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting the very first scene when the guy slips and slams to the ground. I screamed, it scared me. I mean, it really startled me because I was not expecting that. And then to have it just go slowly downhill from there, it was sad to me, because I just, like I said, you get all excited and you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. And you really get into it. And then you keep waiting for it to get, jump started again, and nothing happens. I don't know. I was not happy with it. Even because it had so much potential to me.
This movie could have been better.
It could have kicked butt. This movie could have been a box office smash, I think, if it'd been directed by somebody else. Because the actors were good. Okay. Mm-hmm. The story could have been good if it was told properly. I didn't read the book, so I don't really know exactly where they were going with anything, because it was so jumbled up. And now the scenes that I did get to see, I would made changes in the way they did it and put more into some of the other scenes. It took a little bit away from some of the other scenes to even it out. Mm-hmm. But it just seemed, like I said, it seemed like 5 different people or more filmed different scenes, and then they try to put it together. And it just wasn't my forte or whatever. It just didn't meld for me because of that. But it could have been really, really, really good. I mean, it really could have, because the special effects were awesome. The music was good. It didn't take away from any scene. It kind of, some of the sounds that you heard pulled you in to the scene like it's supposed to. The music is supposed to make your blood pressure rise or make your blood pressure go down, and draw you in to a scene in certain areas. And that definitely wasn't a problem. To me, the editing wasn't even a problem, because it seemed like the editing was really good considering what it had to put together. It just was, I don't know. I really wanted to like it way more than I was able to. I
Well,
feel bad about it.
don't feel bad about it, because like there's parts of this movie I watch where I'm like, ugh, I could have done better with this.
Oh, I could tell you one thing though, this wasn't as bad as The Cowboy Way. The second time I watched it.
Uh, this is
So
leagues better
that's
than
a compliment.
but I I think if they would have spent more time and just detailed some things like where did mahogany come from, if they would like go further on the who is the driver of the subway, why does he take over at 2 a.m. every night and take this subway down these tracks, and how big is the network of people that come on board the train after the feeding frenzy is over, and
Yeah, to clean.
I want to know who the cleaners are. I want to know who cleans up the mess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Little things like that that they could have filled in.
Yeah,
The movie would have been way better, even as a horror movie. Because,
yeah,
I mean, if American Werewolf in London can win an Academy Award,
yeah.
okay, any movie can get accolades for it. I mean, if the movie's got all the things it needs to be rewarded for it. And to me, it just had. I was let down because I was really. It started off with a bang, and it just didn't keep
You
it the
think it got
momentum.
worse
You
as it
know.
went on, and I think the movie, for me, the movie actually climaxed at the end, because I know what's going to go on. I know how it's going to work. But when he is forced to eat his fiance's heart, and the driver says, "We've been doing this longer than humans have been on this earth, and you have been chosen to take Mahogany's place." And he rips the girl's heart out after he has eaten his tongue.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
but Bradley didn't eat his tongue. The other guy ate Bradley's
yeah,
tongue
the other guy,
that he
the
ripped
driver of
out.
the subway, ate Bradley's tongue after Bradley successfully beat out, and he didn't know he was in a tryouts for a new job. I don't think he got
Yeah,
that. I don't think he got
no.
that memo. I don't think he would have taken the job if he was given that choice. I think he would have just like grabbed wife, girlfriend. We're going out to the country. We're never touching the city ever again. But they're fighting each other, and Bradley realizes that he's got the same cut up scarring on his chest that Mahogany does. This is weird.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then finally, as he beats Vinnie Jones, that's the worst part of this movie. Little Bradley Cooper beating up Vinnie Jones, and Vinnie Jones in this movie is made to be a juggernaut, like he probably should have been, and he gets beat up by this little guy, which I can understand. If you're a smart fighter, that'd be one thing. But I didn't see Bradley Cooper with the martial arts mindset outmaneuver, properly counter, properly block, or use his body weight to shift
Now, if
around.
the character Vinnie Jones's character had said something about "I'm glad you're here because I don't want to do this anymore" or something
Yeah,
like that, and he kind of like let him beat him, you know what I mean? Wimped out and just laid there, or let him kill him or something, or he took the girlfriend and had her and act like he was going to cut his throat, and he said, you got to shoot me, or I'm going to kill her, so you better take me out. Kind of like sacrificed himself because he
yeah.
was sick of doing it. Then the scene would have been really good and
Would have been
exciting,
amazing.
because his tongue was ripped out, so he couldn't really say anything, and then shot him. And then the other guy from the conductor guy could have came out and then fed him his heart or her heart or whatever. It could still have made that scene really believable and realistic, more realistic by him being so much smaller than Vinnie Jones. But they just, I don't know,
They failed. They
yeah, they
really
failed
did.
in that part of it. And that to me wasn't, it just wasn't, I don't know. To me, I couldn't really even tell whether they were lizard like. They just looked like vampire zombies or something to me when they came in. And when the other guy said, "Get away from the meat," I thought that was the best line in the movie, basically, because he was the only one in this movie that even had I was going to say a dirty word, I won't say it now, had a clue what was going on. And I don't know. But the thing is, when the girlfriend went to the police department and the woman sitting right in front of her with that necklace on, the first thing I said was like, she's a member. Look at the necklace she's wearing. And I'm saying it to myself because I'm by myself. But I was like, that to me was a huge plot hole because there was no answers, at all. I mean, unfolding in front of you, to either self-explanatory answers or somebody talking about it, or her saying, "Oh my God, why didn't I realize that I saw, why didn't I take why didn't I understand when I saw her necklace that she was one of them?" See what I mean? Or something.
Yeah, she had
but she still was going to go there because that's where her man is, and she's got to go there and save him. She's got a gun now, but you didn't see her reacting or saying anything, talking to herself, that woman was definitely involved in the whole thing. When she had the gun on her, she could have made her say it or something.
She could have fixed it.
But I don't know.
But
I mean, and she couldn't stop anything because basically it had to end up that way because he was supposed to be the replacement. Okay. But you could have answered more questions. You know what I mean?
Yes.
For the person that's been watching this roller coaster ride to get some relief at the end, I don't know.
And I wanted to see more answers come from the movie, not from that voice in my head that's read the book.
And see, I didn't read the book, and all the people like me that never read the book, that just wanted to see a good hack 'em up movie. You still want to have some story, especially since it started off so
pressure intensive.
Well, no, it started off with an actual it seemed like an actual plot, that you were supposed to follow. Yeah. So because I wrote this was my hold on, let me get it. I wrote my what my little review was. So hold on for a second, I want to read it. Okay, this is what I said about the movie, because I wrote this down as I was going. I said this movie was a wasted potential. It could have been a great thriller. After the first murder on the train, I felt that the director wanted to drown everyone in blood. It did not leave anything to the viewer's imagination. It started off engaging and interesting, and some scenes dragged and other scenes were rushed. The story started out as a great cat and mouse mystery, but went down hard like a train wreck. So that was my review, and I give it a C. So that's what I thought about the movie overall. I mean, it could have been really good, but it climaxed at the beginning. It's like, one of those type of things. When the very first murder scene where the guy slips and falls in the blood and he ends up dying after he wakes up on the train. To me, that was the climax. And then you kept waiting for the second wave, and which never comes. So I hate to say that, but that's how I see it. Oh, I see you're putting people's names up there. Oh my goodness. See, that didn't make any sense, that line that he said about them being there before men, because the city of New York wasn't built. So where do they live? Who was feeding them before? I mean,
I think the Indians would have been. I think this movie tries to kind of allude that this has been.
Then why aren't there more of them? Why? I mean, they didn't even pack the train full. You know what I mean? There wasn't. It looked like there might have been 10.
Yeah, that you don't want more than 10. feeding on the populace like this, because then it becomes really suspicious. Like, why is there more than 300,000 missing people a year that happen in New York?
Yeah, but
Like,
why were there any? You know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is they never explain why there were any of them.
okay, so I've studied some things and they're not fun. But, and I say studied some things, I'm going to talk about human mutilation cases.
Mm-hmm.
We've all heard of Linda Moulton Howe, and she's a lady that she did Mysterious Harvest, where she talks about the cattle mutilations. But down in the Southwest, there is a lot of problems that have happened in like Arizona, New Mexico. Mexico's had these problems too. Brazil is a hotbed of it right now, where they have a lot of human mutilation sightings. Or the
Yeah, but do you think it's because of them harvesting organs, or
you find out that like the jaw
could be
gets removed,
aliens?
like 7 feet of intestine. You'll have like the tongue, the eyes, butthole for some odd reason, I don't know. But these are things that are found out, whenever we find a human mutilated body, these are the things that they consistently have happen. And in America, there's about 28,000 people a year that genuinely go missing.
Yeah.
Every year.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that are not found. These are not people that you find floating face down in a river after a rainstorm. Not to tell you guys, I listened to a lot of David Paulides Missing 411. Okay. But these are people that they go missing. And sometimes the bodies are found. The bodies are found enough to where there is a group of individuals out there that they go around and they try to just tag the bodies, get them out of the limelight. Don't discuss much. But
Mm-hmm.
they've been the human mutilations. If you do human mutilation searches on the web, you're going to find that there's like a list of things that you'll find consistent with all this.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that before this became very well documented, I think that Clive Barker stumbled onto something like this and he decided to weave a narrative around it. I really do. Because the best fiction has hints of truth in it.
Yeah. Of course.
And
because you want it to be believable, and it's got to be something that the person viewing it has heard of before, or similar to, or something like that, for it to be, something that they're going to spend their time listening or watching.
Yeah. So we have bits that, if you want to follow the rabbit hole, I've talked about the rabbit hole. You can Google the rabbit hole. You can Bing the rabbit hole. Binging is better, I found out, than Googling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend you do that after you freshly eat. Don't do that, please. It's for your betterment.
Yeah.
So, with that being stated, this movie, for me, succeeds. For you, it horribly just dropped the ball. I mean, This is the literal equivalent of...
Because you read the book, though. See, that if you hadn't read the book, I don't think you would have been as deep into it as you are right now.
I blame David Icke. I blame David Icke.
Isn't this the same guy that did the movie with Pinhead and stuff? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Look at the difference between this movie and that movie. That movie was freaking awesome.
He had more of a handhold on the Hellraiser film.
Yeah, it actually flowed. The whole movie flowed all the way through. There wasn't huge gaps. There wasn't huge potholes. A person who had no idea about anything could watch it and follow through with the whole thing and get a fulfillment from it, an understanding of what was going on with each character and stuff. I mean, definitely, it's like it's not even the same two people. You know, it's like two different people that made these movies, but it's not.
Well,
You know what
the
I mean?
problem with this movie is that the director of this film did not keep the original
Mm-mm.
spirit, tone, and faithfulness that
Yeah,
the original short
definitely.
story had. The
Hmm.
original short story was good enough, and it should have stopped me there.
Hmm.
Instead, any chance I get a chance to see something like a lizard man on a movie or something, Bruce is running off in the hills to go grab this Blu-ray, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking stuff it in the laptop and like just watch because for some odd reason I get stupid. I want to watch every like some people want to watch Bigfoot, and there's a like a third of those people are like, oh no, the new thing is Dogman. No,
Yeah.
Bruce Bruce wants to go to the
So
swamps of South Carolina
yeah,
and get attacked by a lizard man that's in the swamps of South
I
Carolina. He's
I
like, I don't
like
care.
Swamp Thing. That was one of my other favorite comics. So if they ever did make a Swamp Thing that wasn't terrible, you
Hey,
know,
hey,
it would
the
it would
one
be
from
good.
'81 was great.
Is that the one where I can't remember the woman that starred in
Adrienne
it?
Barbeau,
Yeah, that was a good movie.
I love that movie.
Okay, what I'm talking about is today. The people that are making this stuff today, I don't want them to make it. I really don't because I just I when that stuff clears out, when they get rid of some of these people that are in there and they start picking some better people, then I might have hope again because I'm getting so excited about certain things and then finding out they just suck and I don't want them to ruin another good comic book for me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
oh, come on. Don't you like Jamila Jamil telling you how you should feel about She-Hulk?
no, but but the thing is, it's hard. It's how much can we take? I mean, I don't want to see every single comic book that I grew up loving turned into garbage. I'm sick of it. So I just won't even get excited about any of it. I don't want to go see it and not and be pissed off about it. So I'd
Let
rather not watch it.
let not your heart be troubled. But anything that you grew up with, anything you loved, even if they vow to bring back Electra Girl and
Hmm.
Dinah Babe or whatever her name was from the 70s,
Hmm.
stop. Just remember the good things that we had, as cheesy as it was, and the Shazam Power Hour,
Hmm.
where Shazam had a rope tying on his cape. I like that Shazam a lot better than the new Shazam. And the new Shazam is great, don't get me wrong, but the old Shazam is where it was at. I felt that was a great TV show, and
But
I'm
see,
just
I'm able to separate a TV show from a movie.
yes,
Okay.
but
So, just like the original Batman that my mom got me to watch because of, I can't remember what the guy's name was that played the Penguin. She thought he was awesome.
which one, Danny DeVito
No, the from the TV series, the
from the
very
original
original
Batman
one.
series? Okay,
I can't remember what his name is, and
it'll come to me in a minute.
I can't remember his name. Burgess Meredith, I think.
Burgess Meredith is
Okay.
exactly who it is.
She loved. Remember, I told you we watched that movie a couple weeks ago, and I told you my mom just loved him. She just loved that actor. And I liked him too
Hmm.
because my mom loved him. But to see him in the TV series, the campiness of it and everything, just like I loved Star Trek with the same thing. It had this totally unrealistic, campy, quirky, goofy way that I remember watching it. That's what I loved about it for some reason.
We're gonna disagree on Star Trek: The Original Series. I think Star Trek: The Original Series season one is about peak Star Trek.
No, it's my favorite. I love it, but everything about the way they made it is what made me fall in love with it. See,
Okay,
I
okay,
love that campy quality, the over the top acting, just for Kirk's character, things
well,
like that. That you can't mimic that. You know what I'm
no,
saying? You can't remake a classic. I can't explain any different than that.
Yeah.
But God, just little things like that you cannot redo. But when a person, like I said, with Wolverine, when they brought Wolverine in, when I found out they were going to have Hugh Jackman, I was like, what? He's
Here's this
short and
little guy.
stocky. That is not what
He's
Wolverine looks like.
no.
But
Wolverine is short and stocky. He's like my height, but
like
300
Danny
pounds of
DeVito
jacked
size. That's
muscle.
what I was expecting. A small little Danny DeVito type guy to
Yeah.
play Wolverine. Okay. But when I got to see him and I saw that the way he carried himself, the way he talked, a lot of the things, even and he was a good looking. I mean, that helps, but it didn't take over for me. The fact that it seemed like he cared about the character enough to make the extra effort to try to portray the person, the Canadian character in the comic book, to
Yeah.
me, showed that he cared enough about it. To me, I'll give him a little bit of a pass that he's really tall. Okay.
Yeah.
So little things like that to me are worth it if the actor makes an effort. The same thing about Deadpool.
Mhm.
Okay. I could tell that the Merc with the mouth was perfect. It's just
Ryan
when they made
Reynolds.
him into
Oh,
Deadpool that sucked. Okay, for
yeah.
me, when they made him the way they did and they sewed his mouth shut and did all that stupid shit, it just pissed me off. Okay, I was pissed, and I felt like when he started talking about how he thought that was wrong what they did to his character, and then he decided to make his own Deadpool movie, I was all for it, because if he could do the Merc with the mouth part and actually make Deadpool out of it himself from his vision, it was going to kick ass. And guess what? It did. Okay. A person loving a character enough to put that much effort into it is worth me spending a little time to see whether or not he did a good job.
Well, I'm not going to fence with you on these topics here because we have time for that in the future. I
Mhm.
feel.
Yeah, we do. But I'm just saying the same thing about this. When you have somebody make a movie, okay, like this movie that we watched, and then somebody makes another movie using the same man's information, and you can see the total difference in quality of this awesome movie as it goes up with Pinhead and stuff in it compared to this one, there's no comparison.
Okay.
Even though
But-
it's the same writer, and
Yeah.
it should have been up here, which it could have been. It had the potential to be way up here, but it ended up being down here to me simply because the director's vision was not what I would have said.
I
it
didn't
should have
like the
been.
director of this movie, and
Okay, well,
it's nothing against him,
it shows.
but his professionalism in this film, I thought was like if he just wanted to make a schlocky film, did he pick a good movie to do that with? Yeah, he made a great movie. If he could have expanded on it and done at least a half hour, maybe another hour of setup, of motivations, of
Because
answers.
he already had the great actors. He
He
already had the
everything he needed.
excellent FX people, makeup people, all that stuff. He already had everything he needed right in front of him
Yeah,
to make a phenomenal movie. And to me,
this
he
movie
just
is
wasted
6.5
great
for me.
potential.
This is
To me, that was sad
pleasure.
because
This
I
is-
wanted more.
I know.
But it was
Um,
good. I mean, I've seen worse movies. Believe me, I've seen worse. But that's my review. Is that I felt like I was left the theater wanting more when they
It's
dropped the.
Halloween month. It's October. What does Janet want to watch for next week?
Okay, my movie that I would love to watch again is Gothica.
Gothica?
With Halle Berry
Yeah.
and the actor that played Iron Man. I can't remember his name right this second.
Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. They're the two stars in the movie, or
Okay.
two of them. It's got a lot of other good actors in it too.
For some
Very
other-
good, scary thriller that actually has ghost aspects and stuff in it that I think would be really good leading up towards Halloween. It's a good movie.
Next week,
I
I
think-
will reveal my second and final Halloween film.
So
that
were
I'll
you
be-
worried I was going to pick some wussy, girly something? or whatever to pay you back for making me watch this movie. But no,
I
I didn't think the movie was that bad.
no, I thought this was a movie that you would probably like, but you would find plenty to pick about, and you did. So like you literally followed the line that I had charted, because I'm very soft as a critic on this movie. This is a movie that I retreat to this movie whenever I'm wanting to have something in the background and I just need guts and blood.
But there's plenty of that in it, for sure.
I can
Buckets of blood.
I didn't want you to get into Peter Jackson's Dead Alive just yet. That's for next year.
Mm-hmm.
That goes further than this, and I just lost subscribers because I said that, and they're like, we could have watched Dead Alive for this conversation next year, guys. Trust me, it'll be worth it. The reason why is that movie is a bunch more better, gory, better story, everything, but it's not a guilty pleasure film. This is a movie that like you grab like your nephew that you really enjoy his company, or if you've got like a pair of nieces that they're into like the not girly shit, like come on, I got something to show you. You don't tell your mom I showed you this movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this movie is one of those films that, like, you know, if you want to see Bradley Cooper's entire IMDb, this is part of it. And then Dead Alive is in that same genre of film, but it's like a step or two higher in the ladder, in my opinion. But I'll shut up about that, because
I would definitely not bring my niece or nephew to watch this movie. There was so much realistic gore when it came to the bodies. You know, the naked people hanging there. It was like there was real naked people hanging there. I really think that those were naked people with makeup on them. They weren't dummies. They did not look like dummies. They didn't look rubber. No. They looked real, like this real people.
So well on the makeup effects. If nothing else, I gave
they did. It looked like they spared no expense at all on the detail it took to make these people look like this, the cutting them up, putting the clothes in the Ziploc bags, all that stuff was really, top-notch stuff. That's why I was so upset. I kept waiting for the pressure to go up and for it to be fulfilling. And yeah, it was limp at the end.
Come on, wake up. Go fuck something.
So, and I hated it. I hated the fact that because it started out so good. I mean, I was glued to the TV for that whole scene because it was so gruesome. You know what I mean? Scary, gruesome. I screamed, I jumped, when he fell and he was trying to get away. And that actor was really good. The guy that was asleep on the train, he was very believable. Yeah. But Vinnie Jones was very believable. I mean, for his murderous, sickening, terroristic
psychopath. God.
Yeah. Very, very good. I thought he was great. And they had good acting, all of them. The girlfriend, the guy that was in the diner. Okay, that actor that ran the diner, all of them were good. So it was a letdown. It was a waste of a great chance to have had a really good slasher movie with an actual plot and stuff,
I'm sorry that you didn't.
That's why I can't give it better than a C. I just can't, because it had so much. It had every single thing. It was like having a royal flush laid out in front of you, but instead you take all the cards and you take the ace out and you lay it over there and you put the two of diamonds with it or something. That's what it was like to me. It was sad because it had everything except the director didn't use it to the direction he could have. He should have. Could have kicked some butt.
Yeah, this movie could have kicked so much ass. And it's one of those movies that whenever I think about it too much, I think about, like, how would I have improved this? How would I have, like, improved these scenes? What would I have done here? Where would I insert characterization?
Yeah, but you can't help but want to do that. If you're a lover of good movies and good special effects, good acting, I mean, which had all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. and then how can it fail? I mean, it can only fail by the lackluster job of the director.
Yeah, this director completely dropped the ball, and I hate
Mhm,
saying that because this is one movie that I've watched this film 10 times in the last 2 months.
mhm. I
10.
can believe it.
But it's one of those, and it's one of those films that when you're watching it, like you can absolutely watch this movie and you get a little bit more out each time. But there's there's like parts about this film that like you're kind of just you get stuck and transfixed. Like they actually were able to film that,
Yeah.
and it just it pisses me off too. The fight scene between Vinnie Jones and Bradley Cooper is probably my biggest complaint in the entire movie, but I forgave it for that. And then the the David Coran character that he plays, the subway driver, I
Yeah.
thought I thought like another 10 minutes of getting to know him and what is his purpose here, who's he
Because he's a
connected
good
to.
actor too.
Yeah, he's amazing. Here's
Yeah,
another
so,
movie.
I mean, I just saw so much good stuff thrown on the ground when they could have picked it up and propped it up and added a few more seconds here and there, would have made a huge difference. And, if someone else wants to, watch it and, write you on Discord or whatever and tell you what they thought after seeing it, that would be very interesting too
I would
after,
love it.
listening to what we had to say because, I don't know, it would be interesting to find out what other people thought, which way they would lean. Because, I mean, I watched it simply wanting it to scare me because I love movies that make me almost bite my nails. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a blanket and you're all like, you know, I love that. I love scary movies. That's my very favorite genre. But normally it's thrillers with like Gothica, stuff with that type of shocks and stuff, not cutting people up and having their guts spill out, stuff like that. To me, is really not that scary. I like psychological thriller type stuff.
Originally, this was supposed to be a sequel to Candyman, 1992.
Oh, so they changed it around
Yeah,
to
they've changed
fit
it
this.
around.
Yeah,
Uh,
Candyman was a real good movie. The first one
I love
too,
it.
for scariness, thriller,
Lionsgate,
psycho thriller.
right before this movie gets popped into the theaters, Lionsgate hired executive Joe Drake, and the film's completing production. Drake looks at the dailies, he hates the movie, and gives it a limited theatrical run in $102 theaters.
Mhm.
102, the discount theaters, the dollar movies, the dollar
Yeah,
matinee, for very low admission prices rather than the first run cinemas.
because he
The
was
normal
let
ticket
down when he
prices.
saw the movie. He realized this movie is just did not it turn out the way he wanted. He wasn't going to make people pay full price
Yeah.
to
Um,
watch it. Well, hey, he did what he had to. I mean, he actually could see what he had and he realized the product was not up to par. And instead of embarrassing himself by having nobody buy a ticket, at least people were going to the bargain movie and watching it, you know.
there's two movies that I know of that this movie was in the movie where the movie's playing and the actors walk by a cinema. Out of the Furnace, this is movie at a drive-through or at a drive-in theater.
Yeah.
And this is like in the opening scene of Out of the Furnace from I think 2013. And then Jennifer Lawrence and Brad Cooper walks by a theater showing this movie in Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah.
Um, the train is a modified Chicago elevator car, and then you have Vinnie Jones, Brad Cooper, Leslie Bibb, and all three of them have been involved with Marvel. You got Vinnie Jones was Kane Marco, the Juggernaut. You got
Hmm.
Leslie Bibb was Chris Everhart in Iron Man 1 and 2. And then Bradley Cooper's Rocket Raccoon.
Hmm.
Brad Cooper and Vinnie Jones have the same birthday, 10 years apart, January 5th. And Tony Curran, he's also the driver in the movie Shuttle. And the movie Shuttle and the movie Midnight Meat Train they've got a few things kind of interesting. There's some parallels there. Tony Curran, not David Curran, as I mistakenly said earlier. Tony Curran is in that movie as Driver, and if you've seen that movie, um, it's not a bad film. It's a little bit better than this, but I was really surprised at all of the coincidences or all the things that are related in this movie with other films that happen later with Bradley Cooper's career, because a lot of his, like, if there's an opportunity for him to say put this on screen in this movie, because he feels that not a lot of people saw it,
Yeah.
actually he's still pretty proud of it, even though it's not his best work. And I don't really know what
But it
Bradley.
really wasn't him that did it. You see what I
No,
mean?
it
So,
wasn't his fault. He
I
did good
mean,
with what he had.
Vinnie Jones and Bradley Cooper and the actress that played his girlfriend and the guy that played in the diner and the guy that drove the train, the 5 characters, all I think did a great job considering what they had. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? But the directing of which way they went in the scenes and which way was pushed is what made the movie bad. It wasn't the acting. The acting, they had good actors. So it wasn't that. And
It
that's
was.
what, see, the good thing about you showing this movie this time, it actually gets people, if they watched it, if they watch this movie and they pay attention to it, they'll actually get to see how important it really is to have a director of a movie.
Yes.
Okay, you have to have someone who reads the story and visualizes it in their head. When a person's writing the story down, they're visualizing. It's like a dream. Okay, and the same thing when they write a book. They write down all the details about how many leaves are on the tree and what the air smelled like and if it was windy and all the different aspects, so that when you read it, you envision it in your head and you're living it. You're feeling the flow of the ocean. If you're riding on a ship, you know, all those different details are important for it to come to life for you. So when you have a director that reads the script and says, "Oh, I love this script," you just like in Mr. Brooks when Kevin Costner read it, he said he could visualize the 2 people in his mind fighting with each other, wanting one to do this and the other one wanted to do that, and he could visualize it. So the script must have been so good that it came to life in Kevin Costner's head. So when he was acting, he was able to portray even better because he already could see it. He could see what he wanted the people to see when he portrayed that part. That's what I'm saying when I say an actor takes a part and they put everything they had into it. It comes across to the people that watch it, knowing that this person put everything they had into this part to portray it. You know, like uh, Caviezel that did Jesus.
Yep.
Okay, you couldn't help but exude his feelings and the way he, even the woman that played his mother, all the different people, it poured out off the screen that people were mesmerized by it. Okay, and every movie has that potential if the director and each person that's playing the characters reads it and visualizes the same thing. Because you can have an excellent movie and have one actor that just is like, hate this part,
Yeah.
and it hurts everything about the movie. It hurts, or one person, let's say the music person or the editor or whatever. You have one little squeaky nut, you know, cog going along, and it takes away from the whole over aspect of the whole movie, which is why years ago the Academy Awards were so important, because they'd see all the work, and when you see all the names going down at the very end, every little tiny person that did anything, they all did their part just right
Yeah.
to make it phenomenal, to make it a blockbuster movie, because every single person went there with the drive that we're going to kick some ass. We're going to make a really good film. And sometimes it's like a miracle, but when they all click together, the movie is going to be good, because everyone leaving saw in their mind and on screen exactly what the writer was writing.
Yes.
Like Lord of the Rings. I mean, you know how hard that is to get that much to come together. It's rare.
Yeah.
And that's why when you get these gems like this, people flock to it and they all want to buy it and they want to watch it over and over and over again because it's something in it is calling out to the people that are watching it. And that's what's sad about this to me, is that it had so much potential and so many different wonderful aspects to it, but because the director didn't have that vision that all the other people seemed to see when they read the parts that wanted to be that character, it's just sad to me to see that
I get it. I
it was
completely
wasted.
understand.
You know,
Situation 31 Kings asks, have you seen Death and the Maiden?
seen Death and the Maiden. I don't know who's in it. I don't think I have seen it.
Let me check. Now, also, right before the title card of the movie of this movie you watch, Midnight Meat Train,
Mm-hmm.
the person that's doing the butchering is
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper, Leon.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
Death and the Maiden
Oh,
is
that's right. Because you're right. Because he is the new guy to step in. So you don't really know that because of the haircut and stuff and the suit.
yep.
So you don't really put two and two together until the ending. But now that you said that, now I do. That is very interesting.
So Death and the Maiden is a Roman Polanski movie with
Mhm.
Sigourney Weaver, Ben Kingsley, and Stuart Wilson. I'll have to put this in my save for later category.
I don't know. I love Sigourney Weaver. I'd have to look. I'm going to have to go look at the pictures and stuff because I might have seen it, but I'd have to see it to, jog my brain.
Okay. Oh.
But I love if it's got knights and stuff like that. I love it already.
It doesn't have that. I think it's political. I think it's a modern political thriller movie.
Well, I might like it too. But have you guys seen the TV series Damages?
I've heard of it, not seen it.
Had Glenn Close in it. I love Glenn Close.
Okay.
It's an excellent series. If you can, and it's got Ted Danson. It's got a whole bunch of good stuff. But the directors and everything about it was just really, really phenomenal. Put together really well.
Okay.
I mean, there's a few TV shows out there that are like that too. That everybody sees the vision, and that's what I'm saying about Star Trek. The vision that Roddenberry had, I saw. I mean, the very first episode I watched with my dad, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. Spock was my favorite character in the whole series, compared to anyone else. I mean, him and then Uhura, I loved her. And I loved Kirk. I mean, too, because you need a captain, but their overall character personality part, and then Scotty, who couldn't love Scotty?
I that's where I'm going. Like,
So
you have a drunk on your ship? Oh, I'm there.
well, I mean, I'm just saying the personalities all got to shine in different aspects of when the different episode would come on, but the storytelling was there, and that's important. You got to have a story for people to want you to win. You want to root for the team, and that's what makes a great story.
The third season of the original series kind of dropped the ball quite a bit, and it caused them to abandon what could have been a great 5-year run.
Yeah.
They didn't. So Clobby and Rachel Briggs talk about Star Trek in all of its various forms. And I love watching their streams and they talk about Star Trek. That's something I will go back.
I used to watch all their shows. I used to go every week and give my, thumbs up or my thumbs down on different episodes and all that stuff. I've just been so busy with so much other stuff going on Saturday night.
Everything's getting.
I love Clobby and Raquel. I think they're awesome. So
next week, chat. Appreciate you guys being in here. We've had between 4 and 10 people all night. Thank you.
Good. Hope we didn't bore them too much.
Yeah. I love this movie. It's a lot of various things that come together. I like the train cars, of course, because I'm an idiot for trains. 2, this is not really a subway; it's an elevated train car that they've just repurposed for the film.
Well, it looked like
Three,
a subway train to me.
it fits in the subway, and it looked like a subway whenever it was rolling, but it's actually an elk train. Um, this is a movie that you're not gonna probably love this movie to death, but you're probably gonna see some things in it that you do like. I appreciate practical effects to a degree that it's borderline like you should have been born earlier and hung out with Rob Bottin, Bruce. And I used to hang out when I used to live in Illinois. I have a lot of friends that they used to work in horror films, and I have a few of them that they had actually worked with a lot of horror maestros with Tom Savini, and I'm just gonna leave it there. Sadly, I believe Rod is dead now, but Rod was able to one day he brought in some stuff that he just kind of whipped up this fake human heart, and we're all working at a warehouse,
Hmm.
and he was able to do the human heart fake, and then he was able to animate it by using a pump that we had in the electrical department because we had parts for aquariums and shit. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't take much money to do things like that. You just have to use your head and be on a shoestring budget.
Hmm.
You Anybody that wants to be in special effects, work with a shoestring budget as long as you can, because the moment you get a 7-digit budget to fuck with special effects, that's where you're going to have your biggest failure of a movie. You will have the worst output because you're just like, CGI it. No, don't. Practical
Hmm.
effects.
Yep.
And that's what Rod used to always say. But Calvinani's like, I was listening. I did more minis with. Thanks. I mean, put
Well,
this up here.
that's like with Star Trek, though. When they were like when they made the Gordy's eye covers, it was one of those hair clips for women, and they just spray
Saw that.
painted to put magnets on it. So in the claw, over the little glass ball that they used with the Klingons for the
Yes.
judge, little things like that. They just dug around in the back in the props and found some stuff and glued it together and painted it and whatever. The whole thing is they use their imagination. It's like I
Yes.
said, they use their imagination. What do I think would be cool? What do I think? They add a little bit of personality to it and stuff. So that's why, getting to work in the costuming or in the, you know, arts department where you get to paint sets and scenes, or how do you make the windows look old by using furniture polish. You spray it on there and you smear it a little bit here and there, and it makes it have that frosty look to it, like it's cold. There's so many cool things, and the only way to find out about it is by watching, getting to be on set and getting to watch people and see how they work things to try to come up with ideas and how to make certain things look a certain way, and passing down secrets, that somebody used here and there. I remember I was on a set one time and I had pantyhose on because we had to wear pantyhose because it was a period piece and the women wore pantyhose, and we were getting eat up by mosquitoes. Oh my God, it was horrid. So they come around and they passing out spray, bug spray. And I was like, you can't spray that on pantyhose. Oh, why not? I go, they'll melt. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And this was a person that worked on set, and they started spraying the hose, and there's big old holes in all the women's pantyhose. So they had to stop filming and give all the women new pantyhose, but that's the way it is. You got to learn. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way, but just simple things like that. You don't know, until it happens, and you got to do something different, come up with some other way. Use cream next time. That way you don't cost you a fortune and having to buy a hose for everybody or not have hose.
Congrats to Calvinani. He just bought himself a brand new used car. So, good deal.
Great.
Six Nation 31 King says, do you need innards for your schlocky horror film? Get a box of condoms, some peanut butter, jelly, and corn syrup with food coloring. Presto, instant gore.
Has any of you guys ever used Pinterest before?
Yes.
Okay, well, Pinterest has awesome stuff in there on how to make all kinds of stuff. So if you want to make your own movie with your iPhone or your little iPad, whatever else, there's some really cool stuff on there on how to make your own goodies for making your own horror movie or even a sci-fi, for costumes and masks. I sent you a picture of a dragon's head from that show
Yes.
that I went to. Phenomenal. And that came out of someone's imagination. And I just love art. I just love going to street art walks and stuff like that, because you get to see so much, just like that woman was saying in the movie we just watched, to go into downtown, into the depths of the city, and find the grit and the grime, the real people, the reality of things. And that's what you get to see when you just,
Just
you know,
walk. Just go
when you're a
explore.
tourist, you always walk along wherever all the other tourists are at. If you
Mhm.
want to see the real parts of a city, that's when you go on the off streets, and then you go to the cemeteries, and you go into different places like that, and to the locals restaurants, things like that. Then you get to see the real people from the cities, or what's going on in the real part. But you can't dress like a tourist. You have to dress like a regular person, or you stick out like a sore thumb. But that's when you're going to meet and find out the real heartbeat of the city by doing that.
I
Just like
recommend,
you did.
yeah, I recommend anybody that's got the chance to go and just get out, go and walk around, enjoy yourself, but be mindful of your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Here in San Antonio, another plug for my city.
Yeah.
Every first Friday of the month, we have a Catholic little holiday where we have the first Friday. And down in the King William district, there is a art walk that you go, and people will have their doilies or their whatever crafty items they've got. They will
Mm-hmm.
sell them right there. Like if you want art, it's there. If you want paintings, it's there. If you want sculptures, it's there. If you want somebody to make tumblers, there's somebody making tumblers. And it's really
Mm-hmm.
weird because you can just walk around.
Clothes,
Yeah.
really cool clothes, jackets, all kinds
Yes.
of things, purses.
They have all of it over there. And being that this town is thriving on the cash economy of the undermarket
Mm-hmm.
right now, it is really nice to see that there's a lot of that still going on. I was worried that this town would get smashed by the pandemic, and we've kind of bounced back a little bit in the downtown area, and
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that. But if you guys get the chance, I recommend, and let me know that you're in town, because I'd be more than happy to meet up for a pint with you. But I just thought I'd throw that out there because giving people a chance to be crafty, creative, and make a little bit of extra money, it's always a win-win. So
Mm-hmm.
with that, Janet, do you have anything else to say about tonight's 27th episode of A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie?
I think if you like slash 'em up movies, gallons and gallons of blood, lots of cut up, slashed up body parts, caved in heads, eyes popping out, all those things, this is the movie for you.
Yeah.
Period. So but I really do. I think that anyone that's wanting to see that type of thing or enjoys that, they will love this movie. I mean, I don't really like that type of stuff myself. To me, it's not scary. It's
No.
and if it's got a good story that goes with it, I can tolerate the slashing up, you know,
Sure.
guts and whatever, because I loved all those movies with what was his name? Damn it.
Jason,
Um,
Freddy, Michael Myers.
no, the guy that said I like Chianti with the wine or whatever after he ate his people. Uh, Silence of the
Oh,
Lambs
okay.
character. Okay, all those
Hannibal,
movies had
Hannibal
lots of,
Lecter.
yeah. They all had gore and stuff in them, and I liked lots of depends. It just depends on the movie, but I want a story to go
Yeah.
with why these people are getting slashed up and cut up. I'm not a Rob Zombie lover, where I just want to see people just be, slashed up and run over with trucks or whatever. And if there's nothing, no reason for it, to me, it's monotonous. It's just dull to me. I
I'll have to
like to have some reason for it. Everyone has, even psycho killers like Ted Bundy and the Green River Killer. They had a reason, even though we didn't understand why, but they had reasons why they did these things to these people. And I just want to have a story that goes along with the gore, personally. But anyone else that wants that type of stuff, they would love this movie. All 13-year-old boys, I'm sure, would love to see this, sneak around and go watch this movie.
Yes.
They would get a kick out of it.
It is the 10th of October. We're almost into the 11th. You guys find us back here on the 17th, which is next Monday. We'll be discussing Gattaca. No.
Gothica.
Gothica. I almost said Gothica.
Starring Halle Berry and
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Why do you have a hard time remembering his name?
I don't know why. He's easy to remember for me, but that was like, he was the real Iron Man because he deviated from the comics pretty hard because he used to not want to be known as Iron Man.
Yeah.
The Mythic Nations 31 King says, I used to use a lot of liquid latex for Halloween costumes till I grew up my facial hair. Yeah, that gets painful.
Well, you want to I got a little hint that I can use for some people. A lot of people that want to make their own little movies or whatever, or special effects, you can take latex gloves, the skin toned ones, and cut pieces off of that and use Vaseline and get it to stick to your skin and wrinkle it up, then paint it. And then you got yourself a fleshy looking piece of skin that can be hanging off, stuff like that. There's lots of little things you can do, and you can find all that kind of stuff on Pinterest or other little cheapy areas. On there's a one group of guys that I've worked with a few times and got to meet, and they're really nice. It's a show called Zombie Go Boom. Have you guys ever seen them on YouTube?
I've heard of it.
Okay, well, Chuck and all them, a great group of guys, and they love what they do, and they can show you all kinds of cool stuff that they do to zombies, and when they make their videos and stuff. So if you ever want to check that out, that's pretty good. You can do that.
If you haven't already subscribed to Janet's YouTube yet, but I ask you to do that.
I don't do anything like this on my channel.
You were asking about doing like a politics and bullshit stream. I would love to do that. I don't know if I have time for it. But
but I'm just saying, if later on, if we want to do like a one-man show or something, just something different. It just stuff like that pops in my head all the time, and I'm writing it down. I'm telling people all the time, hey, try this or do that. And I was like, because you do like to talk about politics sometimes, and but not all the time, because a weekly show is really tough, especially when you don't know what's going to happen or what potentially might happen. And sometimes there's nothing that happens. When it comes to that.
Celebrate. When nothing happens, you get happy. Even if you're like me and you're waiting for like, okay, guys, you can kick off the war now. You gonna go?
Yeah. So, anyway. I can help it. I share it when I think, hey, I know this person likes this. This might work. See, I've even tried Shellback. I don't know if you know him. I share stuff with him all the time. He's like, oh, I'm night shift now. That's never going to work, and plus I don't think anybody would want to watch it. He's just.
If you just turn on this camera, he'd be fine.
Well, yeah, I think he'd be fine too. I think he's a nice guy. And I wish I told him if I told, like Drew, he wants someone to help him do his show on Sunday night, his Midnight Prism, but it's midnight. I can't stay up that late. Yeah. And I love sci-fi and unknown phenomena. I think all that stuff's so interesting. And I'll help him research and look things up, things like that for him, and send it to him. But I just can't stay up that late. I just can't do it. I'm a day person. I get up at 4 in the morning.
Night, my friend. Yeah, I get it. Everybody that I know on the West Coast is wanting us to run this later. No. It'll be too late for me to go to bed. I might have to stay up.
Wow, this is late for me because I'm up at 4. Okay, as soon as I hear my rooster making noise, I'm awake.
We're going to end the stream now because I don't want Janet to be like bleary-eyed while she's trying to wear her glasses. Really appreciate everybody being here. Six Nation 31 Kings, Matt Barninger, Vet Calvinani, Shadow and Sun, everybody else that popped in the chat. Really
Thank
appreciate you all
you.
being here. Thank you. Even though this wasn't the best movie for us to watch, I really enjoyed it, and I thank you all for being here.
Yeah.
Good night, sir.